Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick update on my experience with the Dell Inspiron 13700. Now this is the 8th gen Core i7 version of this build, 16 gigs of RAM, a ½ terabyte NVMe. Of course, it is a 2-in-1, pen pockets beautifully into the hinge, love it, magnetic, driven by a quadruple A battery, as you would have imagined. Performance with the 4K 13.3-inch display is very good. The display isn't the brightest and best on the market, but is better than most machines out there. And that's because Dell generally does a very good job with displays. This is not news. I used to be a tried and true Dell owner and consumer. Those days are over. I mean, there was always a Dell in my life, let's just put it that way. And I bought this really as a backup machine. Those of you that saw my first look at it, I was impressed. And I had seen it in store. I thought it was a nice looking machine. I thought it was well built. I thought the engineering was smart. In fact, Microsoft ended up copying this with the Surface Pro X. And I think this is the way of the future for pocketing legitimate pens, not like the pen on the C940 Lenovo 2-in-1, which is a great machine, great display, but the pen is just, I feel like, why make a 2-in-1 if you're going to give us, a crap pen? Even if it's a great experience inking, I will always prefer a real sized pen, something a little bit more legitimate than one of those toothpicks. At any rate, those styluses from year one. But the keyboard is good. Build quality is surprisingly good. And I say surprising because remember, this is the Inspiron. This is not an XPS. And when I look at the overall build quality, by the way, fingerprint magnet du jour. I mean, it's not as bad as the Razer Blade Stealth 13 or any of the Microsoft Surface matte black finishes. So it does have that going for it. It's not as bad as some of the competition, but the build quality, surprisingly, again, is right up there with the best. I mean, I will say that the build quality on this machine, I think, is possibly better than the HP Spectre X360 13T, which is the machine I ended up selecting after going through a million laptops here in the late 2019 refresh, ultrabooks, I should say, not laptops in general. Because they are all low voltage chips. Here, the 8th gen i7, yes, it doesn't have the performance of the 10th gen, but it's not a slouch. It does have Type-C connectivity. We don't have the Thunderbolt capability that I wish that we did, but this machine was a fraction of the price of all of the 10th gen Ice Lake Ultrabooks that I've been reviewing. So this is going to end up being a keeper as well, but I think this is something that my fiance is going to end up using, I believe, because I know that she'll appreciate it. She doesn't know she's getting it, but she will soon. And she'll think it's just another one of the machines that I'm reviewing, right? All of you that are watching know, because there's been quite a few of them. But this was just a bargain, and I know how much she is going to enjoy it, especially having a 2-in-1. You all know she's an artist. And she's already seen this machine. She's already used it. So she's going to be shocked. And again, the build quality on it is stellar. I really wasn't expecting it from an Inspiron because if you know Dell historically, Inspiron is generally trash. But somehow I feel like this has gotten that much closer to the XPS line. Don't get me wrong, the XPS has its polished, shiny finish, but the build quality is really solid here. The fans are not constantly running. I did not do a clean install on this. I may eventually. That's a possibility with all my machines. Always has been, always will be, depending on how much bloatware. But Dell didn't go overboard on this machine like HP does or Lenovo. It's really second to Razer. Razer's the cleanest install, unless you're buying your laptops from the Microsoft Store where you're guaranteed a clean install. One of the beautiful things about Microsoft Store. But manufacturers should get their act together, right? Nobody should be making laptops that are hell to use and make you do clean installs and then deal with all the drivers to support the keyboard, all those things. But 4K display here is good, even though it's a generation old. Remember, this came out in the summer, so this is not a prehistoric device. The 4K Performance is good. I mean, you're not getting as bright a display as the more modern machines, but I don't really see that to be an issue. So that's why I want to point it out. This is full brightness right now. And if you feel it doesn't look like, what it could, I understand why. And that's just because it's something where it could be brighter. I mean, most of the competition out there is. Let's go ahead and pull this up. A little 4K action for you. The speakers are okay. I mean, it's ultrabook quality. Excuse the fingerprints on the screen. Let's see if the audio is actually playing. So what I would say is that my biggest takeaway on this display is that it's great for the price, but the HDR performance, not really there, but it's not HDR rated like the Lenovo C940, so don't expect it. But as a 2-in-1 at an affordable price, I just think it does a good job. It really does. And I wouldn't recommend buying this at full retail. Absolutely not. But I wouldn't recommend buying anything at full retail, right? So it's a matter of what you're actually looking for. You can see the screen does have a visible wobble. This is something that I feel a lot of manufacturers addressed in the current generation of Ultrabooks that I'm reviewing. This is the only one that's got that. But otherwise, the capability of this machine, the build quality, everything, it's just top notch. It's what you would want from a premium laptop. And meanwhile, this isn't coming in at a premium price. So I think that's very good. Fingerprint scanners right there. I didn't mention that. And the only thing that I personally wish is probably that we had eliminated the chin, but that's what the new generation is for. It is nice that it has better I/O than most present machines out there. You have a full HDMI out. Again, you have Type-C, which you can use to charge. It does come with a general old school power brick for charging. But if you've got a 65-watt Type-C charger, you're good to go. Type-A port there. Micro SD card slot. So it does check all the boxes. I mean, that was the reason I picked it up for myself. It was kind of an insurance policy in case the HP Spectre and the Lenovo C940 went south for me. And luckily, that wasn't the case. But this machine was good enough that I believe it warrants a place in the family, and that's why it's getting one. So my fiance will be surprised. I will still do a full review of this, but I think you already know what I think based on what I'm saying here. I was shocked by the Inspiron's build quality, shocked by its overall performance. Battery life is solid, 6 hours. I mean, so not as good as the 10th gen, but hey, if you're looking for a great laptop, you can still buy it and save yourself some money. Not everybody needs the 10th gen processor. I mean, that's why I was even ready to go with a machine like this, quite frankly. But that rounds it out. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them at that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.